So, we were talking about authenticity. We've been talking about authenticity. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning. Good morning. There you go. Good morning. And why it's important, okay? Why authenticity is important. Why base level emotions are important. Or let's say neutral, okay? So, your emotions should be neutral. You should not be influenced by things, okay? Exterior things, things outside of here, okay? Things out there, okay? Because when you're influenced by those things, you're not going to manifest what it is that you want to manifest. Now, we're talking about people who have anxiety, fear, any of the negative emotions, okay? So, guilt, shame, fear, anxiety, worry, overthinking, those things. Why? Because they influence you, okay? They lead you to believe in things that don't exist sometimes, okay? Because fear is imaginary, okay? Fear is something that you make up, okay? But it's a warning system. Your amygdala starts to alert you about things, okay? It starts to give you the negative what ifs, okay? And then the imagination comes into play. It's like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? If you have anxiety, that's a real thing. It's a regular occurrence. Overthinking is a regular occurrence, but you're not overthinking about good stuff. You're overthinking about bad stuff. You're overthinking about stuff. Good morning, Jay. You're overthinking about stuff that really doesn't apply. And what happens? Well, 9 times out of 10, maybe 7 times out of 10, sometimes things happen, okay? When you're worrying, it's like praying for something bad to happen. If you're anxious, if you're dealing with anxiety, if you're battling anxiety, okay, sometimes you bring it into your world. Because like attracts like. Like energy attracts like energy. Okay? So it depends on what platform you're on right now. But two of my platforms have a demo video of how we heal people from anxiety. Okay, we make no medical claims. Okay, but if you look up somatic healing, you'll see that it's a thing. Okay, and if you're suffering from anxiety or overthinking or worry, okay, all of those emotions, those are all negative emotions and they're all rooted in fear. So, yesterday we were talking a little bit about authenticity and what keeps people from authenticity. Okay, and we're going to start today with 4 ways that authenticity shows up in human behavior. Okay, and what are the good signs of authenticity? Okay, so you've all encountered that salesperson, right? The one that puts on the smile for you. Hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. Okay, all of that is the mask. Okay, it's a put on. Authenticity suggests that, well, if you don't like me, it's okay. It's all right. Okay, and you have to be good with that. Okay, so yesterday we were also talking about how you should not care what other people think, because if you do that, it's like taking a PlayStation controller or a game controller, putting it in their hands and saying, "Here, you operate me." Right? Okay? So some people call that people pleasing. Okay? It's a new buzzword. Emotional honesty. Okay, so authentic individuals allow themselves to experience emotions without pretending to feel something else. Okay, so when somebody asks how you are, you don't have to go into a detailed explanation. Okay, but if you're not feeling it, it's okay to say, well, I'm not feeling it, but yeah, I'll be better soon. Okay, stuff like that. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Jared. Good morning, Israel. M. Brown, good morning. Good morning, you guys. So someone who is frequently, let's say, um, you know, feeling anxiety, somebody who's always in anxiety, they're not gonna feel up to it, and it's okay to say, hey, yeah, I'm not feeling all that good, or I'm not feeling it today, but I'll be better soon. That kind of thing. Okay, that's emotional honesty. Okay, and then there's value alignment. Okay, hey Maggie, good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Gigi. Good morning. Thank you for liking it. Thank you for liking it. Share the live too. So, value alignment. So we have a chat over here. I keep going back and forth to the chat, just so you know. Okay. So authenticity means living according to personal values, okay? In other words, what you believe to be true, your core values, okay? Instead of social pressure. Okay, so if you're not feeling like using a pronoun, or if you're not feeling like doing something politically correct, okay, then you just do what is authentic to you, okay? What you're in alignment with, what your core values are in alignment with. Now, if they are with pronouns, okay, there you go, okay? But we talked about your subconscious beliefs, your core beliefs, and that's basically what you operate on, okay, is your core beliefs, what you believe to be true about the world, okay? And then there's congruent, thank you, Maggie, thank you. And then there's congruent communication, okay? Congruency, when your body language matches what you're saying, okay? And how does that happen? When you're telling the truth, basically, okay? I mean, you can practice body language that aligns with, falsehoods and lies and things like that, and put-ons, okay? But it's not foolproof, and at some point it'll give in, trust me, okay? And there's micro expressions, okay? Now, if you know how to control your micro expressions, it's a very I want to say acquired skill, okay? If you know how, then okay, good luck to you, okay? But congruency is very important, okay? So we have a service, we have a business, okay? It's a website that young men go to. It's called modernmalesconfidence.com, okay? And one of the things that we teach them, okay, because they're interested in confidence, they're interested in dating women, how to meet women, how to communicate with women, how to date women, that kind of thing, young men things, okay? And one of the things I teach them is how to be congruent, okay? Because women look for congruency. Why? Because they want to make sure they're safe with whoever they're talking to, okay? So if you're saying something to a woman, okay, now women have women's intuition, okay, because they're designed to be mama bears. They're hardwired for that. Okay, so they can detect all kinds of stuff that's not right. Okay, they can detect vibes that are not right. Okay, and then they look for congruency. So when you say something, okay, to a woman, and she's there paying attention to you, okay, you have to be congruent. Okay, because if you're not congruent, that means your body language is not speaking the same thing that's coming out of your mouth. That means you're saying something and your body language is contradicting what you're saying. And she won't trust you. It's that simple. Okay, but authentic communication, okay, for any purpose, okay, means your words, your tone, and your body language match. Okay, your tone of voice, your body language, and what you're saying. They have to be congruent. They have to match. Okay, so a speaker's voice, posture, all of those things. Okay, how they move their hands, what they do. Okay, that kind of thing. It all counts. Okay, so if someone says no, but their body language is saying yes, or I don't know, okay, and there's ways to tell. Okay, if you're a trained observer, you can tell. Okay, if you know what to look for, you can tell. Okay, women instinctively know what to look for. It's just a sixth sense that they have. It's women's intuition. Okay, and they can tell. So if you're a young man, yeah, you have to be sure you're telling the truth. Okay, self-acceptance. Okay, authenticity requires accepting one's personality and traits without constant comparison, and showing kindness. There you go. That's yeah, showing kindness is an option, but it's a good option. Okay, some women accept men and they're not kind. I know a lot of them. They're called bad boys. Okay, so self-acceptance. Okay, authenticity. Okay, it means that you accept you first. Okay, you have to accept you first. Why? if you don't accept you first, in other words, if you have a problem with you, you're going to have a problem presenting you to other people. Okay? So if an introvert embraces their, introvertness, okay, then rather than pretending to be extroverted, you see those guys, they pretend they have that you know inauthentic energy going on, right? Because they're putting on. You know, I know I know professionals that do that. Okay, I know people at restaurants that do. That waitress that's speaking just a little too loud because she's trying to put on cheerfulness. That kind of thing. Okay, but those are normally young people, and they learn as they grow. We all learn. We all experience. Okay, we all learn, and as we grow, we refine. Okay, we refine things. Okay, but this is, one of the reasons why I'm mentioning this is so that, when you hear something I say and then you go, oh yeah, that I should think about that. And it will help you. Okay. 4 anxiety states that pull people away from authenticity. Okay. What pulls you away from being authentic? It's always a good thing. Yeah, it's always a good thing. Fear of judgment. Fear of judgment. Okay, judgment is one of the biggest natural enemies of the female. Judgment. Okay, so young men, don't judge women, and when you stop judging women, the doors of heaven will open up for you, because they will accept you a lot more, a lot quicker. Okay, so fear of judgment is one of these things. Okay, anxiety causes people to what? Fear judgment. Okay, they shape their behavior around what other people may think of them because they're fearing judgment. We went over that a little bit yesterday. Okay, so if you fear judgment, you're going to try to project something or put on a mask that will be accepted by whoever it is that you're speaking to, or whatever clique you're around, whatever friend group you're around. Okay, because it's what you think. It's imaginary. It's what you think they want to hear, what you think they want to see in you. And you're thinking that if you do this, you're going to be accepted. Okay? And today we're talking about authenticity as the highest vibration. Okay, now the highest vibration is love, right? Authenticity is that energy, the energy you were born with. When we're 2 years old and we start mixing with other children or cousins or, that kind of thing, right? We start to acquire these habits. We start to acquire these things because we see it in others. We see other people do it, and we naturally think, oh yeah, I should do that. Oh yeah, that's an idea. The other day I was teaching breathing, deep breathing. Okay. You remember I said when you're 2 years old and you're mixing with other children, you see somebody go, and that's what you think a deep breath is? When a deep breath is not lifting your upper body, it's just doing, there, see how deep that was? Now if I breathe up, see how shallow that was? Why? Because I'm stretching my lungs. They're not filling with as much air. Okay, that's what I was doing. Maggie, I don't know if you were here, but that's what I was doing the other day. Okay. But the reason I mention it is because these are things that we see others do. Okay, this is why when we're young, in the old school, they said monkey see, monkey do. Why? Because we were all a bunch of monkeys copying each other. And that's what you do when you're 2 years old. Okay, that's why you talk all day long, all night long. Okay, why? Because you're learning how to talk. Because you're repeating what you're hearing. You're repeating speech patterns. You're repeating words, or you're trying to, okay? And pretty soon, before you know it, you're developing, little idioms or little slang words, okay, little habits of whoever's around you. Okay? So fear of judgment is one of them. Okay, overthinking and self-monitoring. Okay, that's a big one. Why is this important? Because human beings are the only ones that can observe themselves. Okay, animals have that one experience like this. That's it. That's all they have. That's all they know. Okay, but we can observe ourselves in motion. So what do? We critique ourselves in motion. Okay, right now I can see myself talking to you. I can observe myself speaking to you. Okay, so when we do something and it doesn't turn out right, we go, ah, man, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have walked like that. You shouldn't have approached that person like that. You shouldn't have whatever, right? And you start beating yourself over the head for it. Why? Because we are our own worst critic. Okay? And you overthink it. Okay? Self-monitoring. Okay, what does that lead to? Self-criticism, negative self-talk. The talk that we tell ourselves in here that's negative about ourselves. And what does that do? Well, if you do it with emotion, it goes in your subconscious. Okay? When you get angry at yourself, I used to know this client of mine, right? I used to know this girl. And she used to stand in the middle of my studio and scold herself. She actually did that. She would scold herself. She would stand in the middle of the room, and she would say, "No, Joanne," or something like that. "Oh, that's not right, Joanne." She would say that to herself. And then when I asked her about it, she says, "Oh, well, my mom always said those things." You see? Okay? Mom always said those things. I have a chapter of that topic in my book, The Universal Law of Attraction and Singing. Okay? And it's chapter 5, and it's called The Earth-Shattering, I want to make sure I get the title right. It's The Earth-Shattering Carelessness of Authority. Okay? So when you are careless, either in a teaching situation, that's why I'm very careful with what I say. Okay? I'm very careful with the information I give. I try to be. Okay? Sometimes I have to break it down even farther because we talk about a lot of complex issues. Okay? But the earth-shattering carelessness of authority is very important because when you hear something from a boss, from a supervisor, okay, if you're in the military, from an officer, okay, let's say you're not in the military, let's say you're in the home, from your dad, your mom, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunties, people that you look up to, okay, and they say something or do something, okay, that let's say is not conducive to your mental health or your mental well-being or your emotional well-being. Okay, in this case, right, this girl's mom always got down on, and pretty soon she was doing the same thing her mom did to herself. She took her mom's place. Okay, and the reason it's in my book is overthinking is a big issue for me. Okay, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, Maggie. I'll go into it a little bit more, okay? But this lady was 42 years old when she came to me. 42. And she said, when I was in college, my professor said I should find something else to do besides singing. Right? And this was in my voice school. So I have several businesses. And she said, I just want to see if I can try. I just want to see if I can. Because from college, I think she was 23 in college, till 42, okay, she never sang. She never tried. She shut down emotionally. Why? Because a professor, someone in authority, maybe he was having a bad day, maybe, I don't know, okay? But it shut her down. And people get shut down like this all the time. Okay, especially when it comes from someone, with notoriety, or someone in authority, or someone, supervisor or whatever. Okay, somebody's having a bad day and they tell you you're worthless. Ooh, ouch, right? Okay, but the bad part that happens is you start repeating it here. it becomes negative self-talk. Okay? And then you form that negativity loop that we were talking about earlier in the week. Okay, that negativity loop. Or actually the ending of last week. And when that happens, you do it over and over and over. What happens with repetition? It goes into your subconscious. Then what happens? Then your subconscious takes over and says, okay, I'll repeat this. And then it's wash, rinse, repeat in your subconscious. And you keep telling yourself, either you're not good at this, you're not worthy of this, or whatever it is, but it's going to be negative. Okay? So overthinking and self-monitoring is a big thing. Anxiety increases this. Okay, when you're anxious, how many people on the chat, I'm just curious, how many people on the chat are dealing with anxiety? Just either raise your hand or say me or whatever. Just respond. Okay, but anxiety increases internal surveillance. Okay, internal surveillance of oneself. It's you critiquing you. It's you watching you. It's you being the watchdog over you. Okay, but being critical. Okay, Maggie, you're okay. Okay. Okay, your brain constantly evaluates you, constantly analyzes things that you do. Okay. It analyzes how you are being perceived, how you are perceiving you, in other words. Okay. And it disrupts natural expression. In other words, when you're so focused on critiquing yourself, then you're so careful with yourself, it's not natural. Make sense? You see? It's not natural. Therefore, there's no authenticity. Authenticity is, I can tell you what it's not. Okay, I can tell you that it's not people pleasing. Okay, hey, there you go. Oh wow, hey, look at that. Okay, Jay, are you? There you go. See, Jay got him. Jay is our moderator. Give Jay some love on the chat, you guys. There you go. That was funny. All of a sudden, poof, there he goes. It's like magic. He's gone. Okay, I have a bouncer on the chat. My moderator, Jay. Okay, emotional suppression is another one. Are you suppressing your emotions? Okay. Now, in the old school, emotional suppression was a regular thing. Why? Because children were to be seen and not heard. Okay? If you were a child, okay, expressing yourself in the home, in the negative, was almost a no-no in most homes. Okay? In the old days. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay? It was a no-no. Why? Because you couldn't express anger. Because you were to be seen and not heard. Okay? And even that idiom is not very nice to listen to. One of the words that I hardly ever use ever is the word shut up. I think that's one of the cruelest terms. Shut up. Okay? My whole career, my whole adult life, my whole career since I was 27 years old, I've been teaching. Okay? And my whole adult life has been about enforcing expression, self-expression in people. Okay? It's been about bringing people out of themselves. Okay, so in my world, I see the word shut up as being very cruel. When I hear somebody say shut up to somebody, I'm like, I have that knee-jerk reaction sometimes, okay? Because I think it's so cruel. Why? Because I think everybody should bring their voice out. When you find your voice, you find yourself. Okay, that's the motto of my voice school. Okay, for this business, Here For You Life Coaching, it's opening eyes, hearts, and minds since 2010. That's our slogan. Good morning, aloha. Hey, Charlie, aloha. Good morning, Manuel. You do not know you're even doing it until you follow Junior's process. Takes you out of looping. Yeah, negative loop. Thank you. That's Janice. Janice was my client in Denver. And she completed my program. And she's out there working on Janice, doing Janice. It's so awesome. But you need to find your voice in life. Okay? For whatever reason, if you are being suppressed, I don't care if it's by your parents. Some people are, older. Okay? They're in their 20s and 30s and they're being suppressed by their parents. Okay? For whatever reason. Okay? Some people are being suppressed by their spouse. I have a lot of women that have suffered narcissism. Suffered a narcissist. Okay? In fact, I have two right now that were married to narcissists. And is very damaging. Okay? It's very damaging for a human being to be suppressed into themselves. It closes your throat chakra. Okay? And this is an energy center. Okay? There's an energy center in your throat. And the way we do what we do with the vocalization process opens it up. Okay? You'd be surprised how it works on 3 and 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. It's amazing. Okay? Because when a human being becomes suppressed, it can act out in illness, physical illness. Okay? Colds. Okay? Flus, whatever. Okay? Children that are sickly, a lot of them are suppressed. They hold everything in. Pretty soon their immune system starts acting up. So your mind has a lot to do with your physical health. So everything is mental, spiritual, physical. Okay? So the mental part is very important. How you think about things. Okay? And I get people to think outside the box. I get people to think about things in different ways that they normally would not think about things. Okay? And that part is key because you need that part. Okay, the spiritual part is you're not your body, you're not your name. You're that energy that lives in here. You're that spirit that lives in here. If you're not spiritual, you don't believe in God, okay. But you have a conscious and subconscious mind. And your subconscious, oh, thank you. Jesse, thank you. Thank you. Hey, there you are. Gina, I sent you a couple of texts yesterday and an email. I never heard back. I'm glad you're here. Jesse, thank you. Jesse the Fearless. Thank you very much, Jesse. Okay. Emotional suppression is so bad when you cannot speak your truth or your opinion or your feelings. If you cannot say how you feel because, I don't know, somebody's going to get down on you. When you cannot speak your truth or what you feel to be true about something because there'll be a conflict. When you cannot be open with someone because you don't want to offend them, because they get offended easily or because they shut you down, that kind of thing. Okay? So just know that when that happens, it's almost impossible to be authentic. And sometimes it's not your fault. It's fear, right? It's fear. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said it best. He said, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Why? Because most fear is imagined. It's either imagined or recalled. Some kind of trauma, some kind of event that happened to you before. And now you're seeing something that reminds you of that. You're getting triggered into that again. And that's making you fearful. Or you're imagining. Okay, when you get that negative thought, 6 seconds later, your amygdala kicks in and starts giving you the negative what ifs. What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? And all of those are negative. Okay, identity distortion. Oh, what is that? Okay, chronic anxiety can cause people to adopt roles that feel safer than their true identity. Okay, I knew a lot of guys like this. I worked in the entertainment industry for a little while. A lot of people. Okay, sometimes it's too painful being yourself if you've been through bad stuff. Okay, and it's easier to be somebody else, or it's easier to be something else. I knew this guy that was always on. Like he was always on. And I said to one of the guys that I worked with, I said, this guy must be tired when he goes home. Like he's all like Mr. Aloha. He's like, hey, how's it? How you? Hey, how's it going, you guys? How's it going? Like that. But always, there was never a break in that. Okay, but he wore this mask, and that's the role he played. And I guess he hadn't faced himself yet. So you hear this said like in shadow work, right? You face your shadows, you face the dark side of you, you face the unpleasant side of you. Okay. I guess that could work. Okay. But you don't have to really face, as in, it sounds negative. It has a negative connotation to it. Okay. You don't have to look at it that way. Oh, thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Good morning, Queen Diona. Good morning. Thank you, Bob. Hey, Ken. Good morning. You don't have to look at it that way, okay? Because then you're going to think, wow, this is the unpleasant side of me that I have to face. No, it could be your bad habits, okay? It could be a bad attitude that you have for a reason. It could be a bad attitude about something specific, and it usually is. But those are the things that are bringing it on. Sometimes it's external. Okay, but the fix is always internal. Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. Okay, it's all in here. Hey, there she is. There's my beautiful Latina. How you doing, Marlene? It's over in about half an hour, Gina. In about half an hour. Okay, so Gina, if you return my text, I can put you on the calendar, or if you return my email, either one. Either way, it would be nice to communicate. So let me know. Identity distortion is when people are pretending to be somebody else. Okay, but human beings identify with things. Okay, we identify with people. Okay, when I was getting started, singing and playing music and performing like years and years and years ago, I was just in high school. But I used to emulate the artists that I liked. Why? Everybody does that. Every singer goes through that. We see something we like and we go, oh, I want to do that. And then we chase that. And pretty soon we go, oh yeah, I'm copying him too much, or I'm copying her too much, right? And then you scale it back, and then you kind of fix it, and then you find yourself, okay? You don't need to do much to find yourself. That's overrated, okay? It's overrated because people that tell you that you need to do this have a $5,000 program to sell you, okay? All you need to do is become more self-aware. Okay, the vocalization process that we do with people makes them self-aware. Why? Because it takes away the negative emotions. When you take away the guilt, the shame, okay, the doubt, the overthinking, the worry, when you take all of those things away, you are left with authenticity, because you're just left with who you are. That's it. Because worry distorts this, okay? Worry creates identity distortion. Doubt, okay, when you doubt yourself, okay, you begin doubting your identity. And so what do? Well, you don't like this identity, right? So you pretend to be something else. I played a character on radio I was a voice actor for 15 years. I did a character on radio. It became an international brand. Okay, it's still an international brand. And sometimes the funniest thing about it. Thank you. Hey Teresa, good morning. Thank you for following. Thank you. The funniest thing about it was that the people that worked around me, except one guy, but all the other people started to see me as that character. It was the funniest thing. Because I had to play the character, from when I walked into the door. From when I walked in the door till the time I went home. And after the show was over, I left, walked right out, went back to my office. But after a while, they started to see me as the character. Right? It was amusing for me. I had fun with it. Okay? But identity distortion happens when you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice but to do that because of interior circumstances, interior emotions that are not in alignment, interior emotions that are out of balance. Because there's either doubt, fear, worry, guilt, shame, all of these things. None of them are positive. And they all distract from who you are, who you really are, at your core, at your baseline. And what's baseline? When you were born. When you were born and you came into the world happy. When you were born with God's love and you came into the world peaceful. Before the hurt, before the pain, before the, all of these things. Before the scars. Have you ever seen an angry baby? No. We were all born happy. We were all born peaceful. We were all born in love, in God's love. God is in here, okay? God is real. God is in here. God is in you, okay? If you want to call it energy, if you want to call it spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's not external. It's not out there. The only thing out there is nature and things from someone else's in here. And if they can, you can. Okay? You're a co-creator. You can create. And this is why in the Bible, the journey of Moses is the journey from the left brain to the right, the migration, crossing the desert. Okay? Crossing the desert, the Dead Sea, the space between the two hemispheres of the brain. Okay, crossing the Dead Sea to the Promised Land. The Promised Land is the right hemisphere of the brain. Why? Creativity, connection, intuition, imagination. Okay? If something doesn't exist, you can create it for yourself. I have a cousin who's my vice president for one of my companies. And one day she calls me and she goes, my sister-in-law lost her job and she's a really good accountant. And she does billing. She did medical billing. She goes, "You want to start a medical billing company?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't want to do that." Good morning, Benice. Good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Bob. Erica, good morning. There's Erica. That's my sweetheart in Texas. Good morning. Okay. But I'm telling you, you can create whatever it is you want. Okay. It's not difficult once you start. You have to start somewhere, and you have to start small and then grow it. Okay? You have to start small and then grow. Excuse me. Everything starts small. Now, when you're manifesting things, okay, because you're manifesting whether you think so or not, whether you know it or not, it's nothing you have to believe in. It's your actions that give you results. It's your actions that turn into results. Okay? So if you look at the subconscious tree, okay, the roots of the tree is your subconscious beliefs, what you believe to be true about the world, about everything. Okay? That shapes your paradigm or your worldview, the way you see the world and your attitude. Okay? That dictates your actions. And your actions turn into results. So if you want lasting action, same actions that produce good results, then you change your subconscious. Okay, subconscious learns in repetition and emotion. Okay, when you imprint the subconscious with emotion, that's the strongest way possible. So be excited about what you're doing. Okay, some of my clients tell me, well, I really didn't feel happy when I was writing my affirmation this morning when I was speaking it out loud. I didn't really feel happy. Am I supposed to fake it? Here's my answer. It's about energy, okay? So emotion and energy are synonymous, okay? So if you're gonna say something like bring money, okay, I've been doing that lately just to experiment and it's working. It works. And I go, bring money, okay? I do it a little stronger, okay? But this is a live, so I'm just giving you an example. Good morning, Moonsoul. Hey, welcome back. Okay. Anything energetic is emotion. Okay, when you get a knee-jerk reaction and you get angry with something, okay, that's energy, that's emotion. When you're happy about something, that's emotion. What's really important is the intent behind the emotion. Because if the intent behind the emotion is negative or bad, then the result will be the same. Why? Because like attracts like energy attracts like energy. Okay. So just make sure that the intent is good. Okay. If you want to bring in money, or if you want to bring in a job, or if you want to bring in love, a relationship, whatever it is for you. Okay. But be excited about it in energy. Be energetic about it. Okay. Don't just write an affirmation for, I don't know. Here, affirmation. I am so happy and grateful now that I have a great relationship. Thank you. And if that's your attitude, like I just did it, I'm so happy and grateful now that okay, like that. No, you want to go, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have a great relationship. Thank you. Okay? Energy. Because you're imprinting your subconscious. Manifestation is your subconscious. It's not magic. It's not witchcraft. It's not voodoo. It's none of those things. Okay? Hey, Diana, 3L1. Good morning. It's none of those things. Okay? But if you're suffering from anxiety, which is the basis of our talk this morning, of our live this morning, okay? If you're suffering from anxiety, if you're suffering from fear, if you're suffering from guilt, shame, all the negative emotions, worry, indecision, okay? If you're a Libra, you probably know indecision, okay? Right? I'm just saying, it's a thing. But all of these things are not conducive to good manifestation or bringing in the things that you set for goals. Let's call it goal setting. It's the same thing. Okay, you set your goals, you have to be energetic about it. Okay, but be careful. Be careful, because when you cross the line, okay, into high performance anxiety, it's a thing. It's being motivated by fear. High performance anxiety looks exactly like motivation. And a lot of these people that you see, they're running around, they're doing so many things, and you go, wow, they're so cool, they're so motivated, they're doing all this stuff. They're running. It looks exactly like motivation, but these people are running. I talk to so many of them, who go to Starbucks and stuff, and they're so hyped out. They're running. What are they running from? Well, last year I had an attorney. Okay? She has a prestigious career. I mean, she's the creme de la creme of real estate attorneys in Hawaii. She works for the largest real estate company in Hawaii. She's at the very top of the ladder. There's two spaces to go, and she doesn't want to go any higher. She's had an esteemed career, and she told me, she says, you know, I told her I went on LinkedIn and I saw her profile. I'm like, whoa, I rarely look people up, but I was doing deep work with her. So I went on LinkedIn to, go see, like, who's it? Oh my God, I didn't know who I was talking to. I mean, this lady was, like, awesome. Phenomenal career, phenomenal education, and she had an MBA in business. I was like, whoa. Like, not only was she an attorney, she had a law degree, she had a business degree. And I was like, whoa, this lady is amazing. And she said, I've been running my whole life. I've been doing my career in fear my whole life because I didn't want to be poor. That was her motivation. I changed that. Well, we changed it. She and I changed it. Okay, but I had to get her out of that because that's dangerous. It's not good for you. You cannot be motivated by something negative without suffering losses. And she has suffered losses here and there. Like loss. Good. Boom, 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 boom. Loss. Boom, 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 boom. Loss. Loss. Okay. And the losses are bigger if you're running. Okay. It's smaller if you're not running. Okay. Then you go like this, like this, like this, setback, like this, like this, like this. Maybe it doesn't move. And then like this, like this, like this is setback. Everybody has setbacks. I have setbacks all the time. I have setbacks. But if you're having these large setbacks, okay, if you make some progress and then you're, 3 steps ahead and then you fall back 2, or you go 5 steps ahead and you fall back 3, that's not normal. Okay? You have to look at the root of the problem. What's at the root of the problem? In her case, it was, I didn't want to be poor. Okay, everybody has their own, right? Some guys are like, oh, I don't want to lose my wife. So they're working overtime, they're doing whatever, working 3 jobs, whatever. But those are the wrong reasons. I guarantee if you're fearing losing your wife or your husband, ladies, okay, if you're fearing that, eventually you will lose them because your subconscious will start doing actions conducive to loss. Okay? If you're fearing being poor, okay, in the Bible, in the book of Job, Job says, what I fear falls upon me. Okay, that's the whole lesson of the book of Job in the Bible. I just reference it because it's, it's how I believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not pushing Bible. I'm not pushing Christianity or anything like that. Okay? Hey, Justin, good morning. But whatever you fear will become your reality. Why? Because it's the topic. Okay? So the conscious mind picks the topics. Okay? The subconscious learns in repetition. Okay? Once you think the thought in repetition, it goes into the subconscious. But what does the subconscious do? It establishes it as a belief. Now, if you do it with emotion, it goes in quicker. It sticks out. This is why when you think back about emotional events, you can remember them. You can remember that Christmas when you had a special present. You can remember that birthday party when, somebody showed up and surprised you. These things, okay? But now, if you're preoccupied with fear, if fear is the topic, if this is the reason that you're motivated, if fear is the reason that you're working so hard to keep your marriage, it's going to fall apart. You're going to suffer losses. Your subconscious starts to create pathways to your goal or to the topic, okay? So that would be the topic, okay? It would be the subject matter. And now it goes, oh, well, let's see how I can get you there. Oh, maybe I'll have you do this action. This will get you there. Oh, this will screw your marriage up. Oh, this will do that. And it's not trying to screw your marriage up on purpose. It's just going to do these fear-based actions that are going to appear like insecurity. Okay? Your partner, whoever they are, is not going to appreciate that. And pretty soon they're going to get disgusted with it. So how do you turn that around? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. The vocalization pulls you out of that state. Let me show you what it is. Okay, I made a video. I made a video of it just to show you guys, so you guys actually, know what this is. And this is one of my clients, okay? And it's just a demo video so you know what's involved. This is somatic healing, by the way, okay? So let me preface this. So this is somatic healing. I've been doing this for 37 years. Okay, in singers, it gives them confidence. Okay, in regular people, it gives them confidence. It's not about singing unless you're applying it to singing. Okay, I do this for my public speaking. I do this for my life coaching. So everybody I come into contact with, I do this first. Why? Because it heals your parasympathetic nervous system. That's where the fear is stored. Okay, that's where the trauma is stored. What does this do? It breaks it up. Okay, so you're no longer attached to it. You're no longer one with it. You separate from it. Does it go away? It doesn't always go away. Trauma doesn't go away. It doesn't vanish. Okay? But it gets small enough to manage, and you can push it. You can push it down and move past it. Push down, move past, that kind of thing. Okay, so this is what it looks like, right? And this is Ciara. Oops, I gotta make it louder, sorry. I don't know if you can see that. So this is somatic healing. Yeah, it's kind of hard to hear. This is somatic healing. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, and 12 weeks of that. So it's an hour once a week. 12 cycles of that. We call it a cycle. It will pull you out of whatever you're in. Why? Because God lives in here. Because your energy is divine. Now, if I were being scientific about it, I would say because your neurotransmitters start secreting oxytocin and endorphins. Okay? We do at least 3 to 4 cycles of it in an hour. Okay? As you get stronger, as your voice gets stronger, we have a breathing exercise we do with it. Okay? But as your voice gets stronger, guess what? More hormones are secreted through your neurotransmitters. They fire more hormones. The stronger you get, the more pressure's applied. The more pressure's applied, the more hormones. And it floods your brain. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. Endorphins are the feel-good hormones. And as you express yourself, okay, eventually you find yourself. Why? Because all this stuff is piled up on top of it. Okay, and yeah, so push down, no, move past, not move fast. You don't have to move fast. It's push it down and move past it. Move past your fear. That's what I meant by that. So you push it down and move past it. Okay, so Janice on the chat here went through this, and she's experiencing a brand new life now because there's no fear. Okay, because we removed the fear. Okay, anxiety is just about a undercurrent of fear. It's a small undercurrent of fear, and it gets triggered every once in a while when you see something that's fearful, or when you think a fearful thought for more than 6 seconds. So if you get a fearful thought, just say stop. Say stop and switch to something else. Think of something else. It's all about reframe, refocus. If you cannot reframe what you're thinking about, in other words, if you get a fearful thought and you can't turn that one thought into a positive, or look at the positive side of it. Everything has two sides, okay? Then you need to refocus on something else. No, that's not humming. It's straight tones, long straight tones, with velocity, with strength. Yeah, humming won't do anything. Humming doesn't fire hormones. It'll make you feel good. Humming will make you feel good, but not that kind of feel good. So the difference between the somatic healing that you see in definition when you look it up, if you look it up online or in a dictionary, right, you'll see humming, you'll see singing, you'll see things that are done with your voice. Okay, but we push strong, straight tones. Okay, and there's a reason for that. The hormones are the reason. Okay. So now, in summary, we got like 2 minutes, and I gotta give my summary. Let's see. Okay, what are we gonna do here? Okay, so and psychologically aligned as well. Okay, because somatic healing refers to the body. Somatic. Okay. Trauma is stored in the body, in your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. That's part of it. Okay. I'm not gonna break it down like, I'm not here to teach a class on it. I'm not a psychologist. So that would be a person to ask if you know a psychologist, or go online and find psychologists and follow them, and you'll get the whole thing. Okay. But authenticity represents psychological alignment because it's somatic healing. Thoughts, emotions, actions, all being congruent with each other. Okay. Because if you have fearful thoughts, eventually you're going to have a fearful body. Okay? Because you're going to have a reaction. And thoughts become things. Okay? So if you have fearful thoughts, guess what? You're going to experience fear. And then like attracts like, and it goes in a circle. And you form that negativity loop. Okay? And it's hard to get out of, because your amygdala is giving you a whole bunch of what ifs. And then you lock onto one of the what ifs, and after 6 seconds, your amygdala gives you a bunch of other variations on that. And it keeps going, and you get into a negativity loop. Okay? So it's very important to understand that you can do this, okay? So let's say, let's say you can't see me, because I have 2 half hours left. I have 2 half hours left. Okay, and I'm here for tons of people on 7 different platforms. Okay, here's what you can do. Okay, go in your car. Okay, when you're driving down the freeway or road or whatever it is, okay, roll up all your windows. Okay, turn on some air conditioning so you don't get hot. Okay, and blast your favorite tunes and sing to the top of your lungs. Okay, and do like 2 or 3 songs worth. If you do that every day, okay, or if you do, let's say, half an hour to 1 hour of that. I don't know anybody who's going to do an hour, but that's why they come to me, because if you have a teacher, it's easier to follow somebody and work with somebody than it is to do it on your own. Kind of like going to the gym, same thing, right? But this is CrossFit for healing, okay? For emotional healing, for stress, for worry, for overthinking, okay? Anxiety, being anxious, that kind of thing. Okay, so when that happens, okay, just sing to the top of your lungs. I know if you're anxious, you might not feel like it, okay, but try, because your throat chakra has to open, and once that starts to open, your vagus nerve goes through the throat, it goes into the heart, and it fans out into your gut. Okay, so what happens is, first your throat chakra opens, then your heart chakra opens. Okay, and then after that, what happens normally is people just break down into tears. You hit that one note and boom, you break into tears. Okay, why? Because you're relieved. They're happy tears. Okay, that's the good news. They're happy tears. Okay, because now you're breaking free of the anxiety, because anxiety will hold you in like this. It'll keep you like this. Okay? And when you start feeling anxiety and then you take medicine, it'll make you feel better, right? And then the medicine wears off, and then here we go again in the cycle. Okay, so yeah, you can see me today, Gina, but you have to respond to my text. I texted you twice yesterday, no answer. Maybe I have the wrong number. I don't know. Email me then if you can't text. If you didn't get my text, did you get my text? Master your emotions. Masters your emotions. Yes, it does. It does. This makes you more emotionally intelligent. Thank you. Thank you, Janice. Janice was my client. Well, she texted during the live. Oh, okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay, guys. So we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Same, okay, on all of these channels. So it's crazy. I've got a camera over there, a camera back there, I got cameras over here. So